Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Motivation and That. I am Natalie, I am your host, and today I have just a wonderfully calming, positive influence of life on the pod with us. Ada is here. She is going to talk to us about her journey that she has had with finding happiness. And when I say happiness, it is not probably what we might all stereotypically think of the big smiles and, oh, everything's perfect and wonderful. And more so, I think associated with the kind of what we're naming this episode of Hot Girl Healing Season. Like it's all about just you and yourself and the journey. And I can't wait to be on this with you for the next hour. And I'm so excited. So just, I've had a few other guests on that met the same way we did, which is social media. And it really does bring together fantastic friendships and relationships. And without further ado, before we get into the topic of today, Ada, tell us a little bit about you and who you are and how you got to this point today. And then we're going to start peeling back all the layers of what really is this journey that I think all the listeners are going to just resonate with and probably be able to take multiple nuggets of knowledge from.
We're gonna do all the onion layer peeling, right? Shrek style today.
Yes.
Thank you for having. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so honored to be part of your part of your podcast. I have such a love and hate relationship with social media because sometimes I just want to fall off the face of the earth and close everything down. But then I remember how many beautiful people I met through it, you included. So it's such a love and hate relationship, like. Social media is a beast, man.
Mhm.
And how I got here, that's a loaded question right off the bat. It's been a long journey. And so for those who don't know, I am a happiness coach, I'm a confidence coach. And what got me here today was the fact that I wanted to lose weight X years ago. Innocently as that. Corporate job, I didn't put the freshman 15, I put the corporate job 15 or whatever it was because adult freedom, right? And I had a very innocent goal of just losing weight, which sounds so normal. And then it led me to the depths and depths of, while having what's I call the socially celebrated body. I got there beautifully, and it uncovered every single insecurity that I didn't even know I had in me. So even though I thought I was slightly insecure about my body at the beginning, I I was in the depths of a black hole of insecurity, food obsession, missing out on life. I mean, you name it, what it was. It was crushing. I was putting up a front for a long time to pretend that I was celebrating where I was, which I'm still proud of what I accomplished over those years, but it really got me to a place where I remember vividly that I said I hate myself, specifically my stomach, and I think a lot of people can relate to that. We have our tummies are a special kind of relationship for a lot of people, so I vividly remember telling my stomach that I hate myself. And then questioning if I will ever go past a reflective surface without nitpicking what I see and just trying, just assessing what I see. And then if I will ever see food in a way that's not macros and all the other things, if it'll ever, I don't know, bring me happiness again. I lost that. I lost myself in that whole journey. While at the same time discovering that I really don't like being in corporate and I really want to be a coach. So it brought all of it to me. Like that journey, my body journey kickstarted everything for me. It kickstarted my nutrition coach journey. It kickstarted me saying, and I remember that too, like the find your happy tag. It was just a random hashtag that again brought to you by social media. Like that one, it was one day where I was like, I'm done feeling insecure about myself. I'm done being obsessed. I'm done wasting money. That, but wasting time pretending that I am happy in whatever situation and being just so focused on everything. And I put up a post on social media and I tagged like find your happy. I don't even know where it came from. But that's again kickstarted it all. So it was a journey of years of uncovering what or letting go of like obsessions and rigid schedules and all of the eating disordered eating patterns that I had. And then discovering every single year what does actual confidence feel like. Every year I thought I had it until the next year passed and I was like, oh, wait, that was not it. We're a little closer now. Years of mentorship and again going back to get my master's, going back to get certified as a nutrition coach, going back to get certified as a confidence coach. And it's the more I grew on my journey, the more I realized that simply there's so much more behind nutrition coaching than people ever talk about. And I'm not here for the surface things. I have never been. I'm a Scorpio through and through. Okay? I am here to like see through to your soul and like skip past all of the surface things and discover the actual depth of what's going on. And that's what I navigated. I don't want to say all by myself because I had mentors upon mentors that taught me things. And thanks to all of that, I'm here where I am today, which I can say confidently that, yeah, it's not, rainbows and butterflies and all the things all the time, but this is the ultimate unconditional confidence and happiness that I think people think it's a myth, where I can tell you that it's a reality.
So, we've touched on social media being one of those drivers that it's hard to get away from, right? So even if you've unfollowed everyone, ads are going to pop up, promotions are going to pop up. They're going to make you question yourself and what is kind of acceptable. But then on top of that, you've got just influencer culture in general, which is now even beyond social media. It's getting ad deals, at Target or Walmart or any of these places. It's on reality TV all the time. Like all of this stuff that really just like fuels the whole comparison being the thief of all joy. And that's, always one of the quotes that I come back to. And I'm like, I wish I could embrace it. It's really hard to, though,
Mm-hmm.
because you're always wondering about someone else or something else. So, talk us a little bit through how you started that self reflective conversation of taking it away from you versus them or me compared to them and more into me versus me. And what does that kind of anchor you for? Because that's the starting point of the journey, right? Is to start bringing that circle a little bit closer to focusing on what's here as a part of
Mm-hmm.
you.
Mm-hmm. And I like that you said so. You said me versus me, and that actually was a big faulty part of my thinking, because I put myself against myself, and that was not healthy either. Because yet comparison to others is there is a shadow and a light. We will always and forever compare ourselves to people, and that's normal. That's human. That's what we will all like. That's what we do. We notice, we learn, right? That's how we learn to be adults, from other people. Um, and again, there's a shadow and a light. So there is a light side of comparison where it's how we use that comparison that makes it powerful, right? Instead of judgment, we lean into inspiration. And then when we turn it to ourselves, when we turn into the self reflection, because yes, a big part of the journey is putting or rediscovering who you really are. We learn along the way. I was just talking to a client about that, where at when we grow up, there should be at one point a baton passing from our parents or from our caregivers that say, Hey, I have been here for a long time to show you what the world is, to help you define it, to help you slightly define who you are. And there should be a baton passing at one point that says, my job is done. You now get to define who you are, what things mean to you, not based on me, not based on my definitions, inspired maybe, but you get to decide that. And we a lot of us never experienced that. A lot of us never got told that we get to define things, right? We only get told like, hey, like, look at the society, look at other people, look at me, do as I say, do as I do, right? And then, or we say, we get told it's you versus you. You compete with yourself. Always be better than you yesterday. And I think that's just as destructive, because that was very destructive to me. I understood that I'm not supposed to look at other people, but then I competed with every single past version of me and wanted to be better than that, instead of recognizing that all those versions of me need is understanding, right? So it's me with me, not me versus me, right? It's looking at me from the perspective of how can I help you, not how can I compete with you.
I love that, and it makes me think of all of the photos I deleted like a year ago on my phone, right? That were all the comparison photos.
Huh?
And it was
Oh
like,
my god.
oh,
Oh my gosh.
whole episode just on those, right?
Ugh.
And at what point do you say, well, this is it? And there's no more comparison photos. And that I think is exactly what comes to mind when you're like me versus me. It's like, all right, well, how am I going to look better than this? Or how am I going to,
Mm.
hear better than this? And, that target always moving, which makes sense because our world is moving. It's not static. So, I mean, I know that this, well, at least maybe I don't know. I think this started off with the kind of food freedom journey that you were on. That's where I
Yeah.
remember kind of really kicking off. But you've alluded to it's more than just food freedom. There's other freedoms with that too. So, what was that kind of transition of, oh, it's more than just this one piece? There's a lot of other components to bringing this feeling of peace almost kind of to your life. And what other things popped up besides just that initial trigger point?
What didn't pop up, man? And that's the magical part about, like, people think that when they go on a food journey or a weight loss journey or whatever, that it's just that. It's just about changing your body. It's just about, changing your relationship with food. And what they discover a lot of the time, some are ready, some are not. I was not ready for that. It hit me in the face. Um, Food is just a symptom of what's going on. So when you're working on, and your body, really, like the relationship you have with your body is a symptom. It's like an alert system. Hey, something's going on, because the same patterns that you have, whether you're in your non-confidence, in your insecurity, if you're insecure in your body, I will bet that you are insecure in many other parts of your life, as a mom, as a coworker, as a daughter, as a partner, as whatever, right? If you are, for example, emotionally attached to food, that means there is emotional patterns that are showing up in your life elsewhere, that are just manifesting in how you treat food, how you use food, how you see food. When you're avoiding certain foods, the avoidance patterns, like that's, the biggest thing that we hear sometimes. It's like, well, just don't freaking eat it. Don't, like, avoid that, avoid this, right? When you avoid it, I bet you that you're avoiding a lot of other different problematic, potentially, or things that you see as a problem in your life. You just avoid it, you delete it. And those were all of the big things that showed up, is, oh, it's like, it's not food. If I start asking myself questions about food, that I'm actually asking questions about my emotional well-being, because that's where a lot of things show up. It's like, how do you actually feel when you're eating or you're not eating, when you're craving something? Understanding that the food cravings or the food drivers have nothing to do with the food itself, but rather on your emotional turmoil. And then you start answering questions about your emotional turmoil. And all of a sudden, it's because you don't feel adequate here, or you have been defining your success or your worth. That's a big one, as things on the outside of you. So whether I'm good at my job, whether I'm good at lifting, whether I'm good enough, or perfect enough, or whatever. If it's not going well enough, then there's emotional turmoil that I'm trying to avoid. And when I'm avoiding, there comes food, or there comes trying to fix it, the fix it mentality. And I had that. A lot of that is the fix it mentality, and making sure that everything is, my core wound is validation. So if I don't know that I'm doing something well from the outside world, if nobody tells me that I'm doing some or yeah, nobody tells me that I'm doing something good. If I don't get positive feedback, if I don't feel heard or like significant enough, that hurts. That was my emotional turmoil there, and that creates a whole storm of things that I did not ever want to feel, nor have I actually recognized. I did not know that, because in my head I was like, I had an amazing childhood. I'm lucky enough to have had an amazing childhood, supportive parents. Where the hell did this come from? So that was even the confusion. Like, wait, why? What's wrong with me that it's still here, right? So it was that layer by layer of discovering that food and body and exercise were just the alarm system, the symptom of the fact that I was, even though I would call myself a very emotional human being, like I will cry, at any freaking TV show, commercial, blah, blah, blah. I have never allowed myself to actually feel the things that I was supposed to feel. They were just things that, I don't know, I was supposed to do that. Like, you just shove it under the rug and you just kind of fix it and bypass it. And that was the biggest learning of my journey, is the emotional side of it, and how to work with that, and how our bodies are a wealth of information when it comes to that.
Well, and I want to get into then how you took that and kind of created the For Your Happy program and business and everything. But I got one question that popped up as you were talking
Yeah.
about that, which is, I know you've been with your husband Tony for a long time,
Yeah.
and you've got this beautiful daughter now, and we'll touch on her at the end. But what was that going through that transformative journey that you had?
Hmm.
How was that for the relationship? Because, here's the other person that I find it really hard when you're going through those big shifts in your perspective and your understanding to understand it yourself, much less try to communicate it to someone else and have them join the journey with you.
Yeah.
So, how did you and Tony kind of work through that or navigate that, especially when there were kind of rocky moments or like moments of light, like, oh my gosh, things make sense now? Like, did they make sense for him too, or did you have to like kind of bring him along in that conversation?
Um, so I call it the period pre-mom and post-mom, right? So in the pre-mom period, because that's that's a whole other boulder than that hits. But in that initial journey, I will say, he was a driving, like, he saw what I didn't see way faster. So I can say that he helped me along the way for sure. Like, he he saw the shadow of a human being that I was. He did not understand how I couldn't see myself the way that he saw me. And he was very, very patient with every single stage of that journey. He went along all of the dietary changes. He went along with all of the exercise changes. Even though it was, I can't even I think about that time, and I can't even imagine how painful that had to be, to see me that way and to go through that, and to just, and also never see me. I was walking out there all the time, because if I didn't get 20,000 steps, then, the world would end, right? So come back from work and be gone for like 3 hours. Work out at 4:30 in the morning. Jesus. And I think he helped me along the way. Like, if it wasn't for his support, for And the biggest support was he never questioned when I said, hey, I'm going to do this mentorship. Hey, I'm going to pursue this. Hey, I'm going to pursue another certification or this direction. I'm going to do my master's. He never questioned that. He was like, okay. And he supported me every single step of the way through that. And that allowed me to, like, through his patience and through his, he taught me how to communicate. That's a very parental core thing that I have, is the lack of communication and certain patterns that, just are not the healthiest. And he brought me out of that shell and allowed me to communicate and pushed me to communicate what was going on, what was I discovering. And he was light years ahead of me. Even though I thought I have it all figured out, he knew what I knew already. And it was that, I think, so he just became my safe spot to share those things. And I'm sure when I finally discovered who, or came back to who I was, not discovered, came back to who I really truly was, it's like he took a breath of fresh air and said, oh my God, you're back.
I love it. And I think that, there's similar marriage on my end, the same kind of thing. And it causes its own rifts sometimes, but, it's really when you notice some of those, supportive qualities, there's definitely people that don't have that. I'm sure some of your clients
Hmm.
don't have that. So let's talk about the
Yeah.
Find Your Happy program, because when you go on your website, I will just say it does not strike you like so many of the other programs that are out there. And one, that's a beautiful thing, first off.
Hmm.
And it doesn't, you mentioned this earlier, it doesn't feed into that I'm going to fix you mindset that a
Mm-mm.
lot of programs do, that a lot of systems of, oh, well, we'll give you this plan and we'll do this and here's your to-do list. And, you know, and you skirt that line of, and curious on your thoughts on this, it's not therapy, it's growth.
Mm-mm.
And
Mhm.
I think that there are a lot of people that are like, well, should I go to therapy? Should I get a coach? Should I get a mentor? Should I do this? And so, how do you, with your clients, well, first off, how did you set up the program in a way that kind of set boundaries for you as the lead of that
Mhm.
and for your clients to understand expectations and to meet them in ways that you felt capable of meeting them with your training and your background and things like that? Because I think it's really unique in so many ways and a filling a hole in the market, to be quite
Mhm.
honest, that focuses on the before and after more so than on the journey itself.
Mhm. And that was my goal. Is That's what I said, the lack that I saw, which is, that's another conversation for another topic or in another episode of, like, how people are not ready for what I do. I will say that a lot of people are scared of that, and that's fair. It's not a journey. It's easy to go for the before and after. It's easy to go for the surface level fix. And the people that I work with have done that, and that didn't work, and they finally realized that there's something more. And that's what it bases itself off, is it's not about fix. You have nothing. There's nothing for you that needs to be fixed. It's about you coming to being okay with everything that's going on and understand what actually is going on, right? Body wise, food wise, but then again, it transcends to all the other things, motherhood, professional. The amount of people that I've recently worked with professional angles and becoming better leaders and becoming, leaving their jobs, understanding their marriage, understanding their motherhood. That's never imagined that's where I'm going to go. Growing their business. Um, my business has taken off so many, it's went through so many shifts based on need, based on what was I focusing on the moment. And I finally landed that, it's the depth of the work that I want to do is not going to be through printed off program or, um, here is this step by step thing to follow. Yes, there are steps, of course, um, but it's the emotional and personal conversation that really creates the shift. And that's where I thrive. It's bringing that conversation. It's showing you the biggest part of it. It's showing you that whatever you're going through, you can feel safe in that. Because that's the biggest thing is we try to fix ourselves because we try to run away from something. And the running away is where we get lost in purchasing various programs and buying into all of the promises, and we keep running away. And I'm here to have you stop doing that. So I create a safe space for you to learn to realize that you are safe no matter what you're feeling, no matter what's happening. And in that, you can actually make decisions that feel more aligned. So again, my business the structure of it just changes, morphs, and it's just like it's not a one specific thing that I give to my client. It's not a specific thing at any moment because it's based on the need that comes to me. The support level, the structure, the conversations that we're having, very, very morphed to the need that my client has. And that's where I'm really proud of that, honestly, that you can I will build the journey. No, I won't. We will, because the client is the leader. You're the leader of your journey. I'm just here for support. I'm here to give you extra steps. I'm here for you to give you ideas to experiment with. But you're taking the ownership of your journey. And that's a big part of it too, is learning that I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to advise you. I'm here to mentor you. You're here to lead and eventually take ownership of what that healing journey looks like.
So you've mentioned a few of like the different types of folks that you've worked with now and their different journeys. What are some of the components of happy that those individuals have found over time? Because I think it's important, and I'd love your thoughts on it. This idea of, well, if I'm happy, I'm always happy,
Mm,
and the need to balance. And
mhm,
this will probably get us on the mom side a little
mhm,
bit, but happy can't just always exist. You don't always stay at that level. So, what are pockets of happiness that people have identified and they lean into to help balance when there's times that are a little tougher or a little more trying
mhm.
or emotional on them?
Yeah, first of the whole balance piece, that's another conversation that we can have because there is no such thing as balance. And I actually don't believe in the fact that we're supposed to mute, that there is like this happy middle that we're supposed to be where we're experiencing some happiness and experiencing like we want to experience a full-blown happy, we will need to experience a full-blown opposite. That's the big component of happy is so if it wasn't for happiness to exist, you need to know what sadness feels like. For confidence to exist, you need to know what insecurity feels like. For you to feel safe, you need to know what fear feels like. Right? So the pockets of the true happiness isn't just, pretending that everything is okay and fake it till you make it. And because that's muted, that's fake, that's un that's potentially a step. It's a ladder step. It's a way for you to get an idea of what happiness could feel like. But the true side of it is when you realize that every emotion on the other side is part of who you are, is part of your human existence. And both can exist at the same time. So even when, I mean, I don't know, we're recording this on September 28th. I don't know if anybody else had a very freaking shitty September. There was there was something in the freaking stars, but as soon as August hit, September just went like tumbling down the stairs with outside world left, but like the emotional turmoil, like the highs and the lows, the crying that I've done in September, the like losing my mind. I don't know. It was just bad. So if you also experienced September in a very, very, very strong way, Right? Like,
Oh, yes.
and glimmers were still existing. It wasn't all bad. Right? It wasn't that happiness all of a sudden decided to disappear. It's a lot of my, like, when as we grow, a lot of my clients and myself, like, on the journey, realize that it's not all on one. Like, it's not all one or the other. There's tough times, and there's sometimes there is no balance, because again, balance doesn't exist, but it doesn't mean that one overshadows the other. It is in our power to find ourselves in those tough moments and recognize that the sun is still shining. The rain feels incredible. I don't know, my kid smiled at me, or my dog sat next to me, or whatever smallest moments of contentment, whatever small, I still get to crochet, or I still get to watch my favorite show. I got a hug from the smallest moments sometimes fuel the most. And it's that recognition, like, the pockets of happy exist at the same time as the tough times. And I described it one time, because a lot of people think that when there's, like, the glimmers of happiness or the glimmers of confidence, that's like a fluke, that it just happened to happen along the way, that's it's just not a normal thing, right? But when you have an overcast sky, like, it's cloudy AF, and all of a sudden the sun peaks, right? You don't think that that's a fluke. You know that the cloud cover is the fluke. Like, it will pass, because up there, I don't know if you've ever been on a plane, if you go over the clouds, the sun is shining, right? It's sunny, it's beautiful. It's like, it's incredible to witness that. That's like, those glimmers of happy and those glimmers of confidence, they're not a fluke. They're showing you what's above the clouds. They're showing you what's possible. They're showing you that, hey, I'm still here. Lean into me. And we forget about that, because we think it's like, oh, it will never happen again. Like, it's a random thing that happened. No, like, those are the moments that show you what's real, not the cloud cover.
And knowing, I mean, I loved the comparison that you did, that you can't know what is one thing if you haven't experienced
Mhm.
the absolute opposite of it. And the same, makes me think, well, if it's sunny all the time, my plants get sunburned. Like, they literally die because they need to have.
I ask for rain, because I live on a dirt road, and if you if you live on a dirt road, you know what that dust means. So if it doesn't rain for a long period of time, oh my God.
So, and it takes me back, ironically, to food and all the things that we need to nurture and nourish ourselves in order to be kind of what we need to be. And that isn't all just one thing
Mhm.
necessarily injected into your veins nonstop, because you will overload at some
Right.
point. And so, I think, what's that? Let's say a client comes in and they're like, I have had the best opposite. They've had the best September ever.
Mhm.
And they're like, I'm good. Everything's great. I'm so happy. Like, is there a reality check that maybe you give them to be like, what? Hey, kind of moment? Because I can see where that could pivot and they've forgotten then, oh, there's still going to be this opposite moment that I'm going to experience. And for it to not, I guess, be interpreted incorrectly, and then one of those things of takes me back to the comparison piece, not you, me versus me with me. So not
Mhm.
happy or sad, it's happy and sad, or happy, light and dark.
Yeah, it's like, we're not Ronald Weasley, and we have more of an emotional capacity than just a teaspoon, right? It's like, we can feel things at more things than one at once. But so, when personally, if a client of mine comes to me and is like, I had the best freaking September ever, I'm like, good for you. And it's a no, it's a genuine thing, because my clients know that, or when they tell me that, I know that it was a great September, because they navigated the tough parts authentically. it's not that it was the best smooth sailing, because the best smooth sailing month does not mean that you had, I mean, sometimes it does happen where you just like everything just lines fuck up, right? And you just sail, right? Like everything just happens beautifully. That's to show you your power. That's to show you that you are capable of that. And a lot of the times when it's smooth sailing, the tough parts still happen. You just know how to navigate them because your relationship to them, your relationship to recognizing what's happening and not taking it personally and learning from it and knowing that I don't have to fix it, I can navigate it, you just eventually do it automatically, right? So it's not that you know that there's no bad. It's just that you have incorporated that tough, not bad. I don't like good and bad. That doesn't exist. That doesn't feel supportive, right or wrong, good or bad. I don't like the all or nothing thinking. It's the supportive, not supportive, tough or not tough, right? So it's not that there is no tough. It's just that you integrated the tough to be a part of it, and it feels less daunting. It sometimes it feels less daunting. Sometimes it feels less heavy. There's going to be another month that's like just all tough, and then you just get tested in a different way because that's where you again truly show up. So my clients, when I hear that, it's like that means you navigated the tough parts in the most authentic way that you could, applying every single lesson that we experimented with here. And you know that it's not, maybe it's going to be the same, maybe it's going to continue, maybe it won't. It doesn't matter because you're prepared. You know how to navigate that.
I love the focus on navigating. It made me think of a captain, right, and on a ship,
Yeah.
and they don't try to fix the storm that comes at them. They navigate through the waves, and when they're done, they're like, "Yeah, we made it
Yeah,
through that."
right.
So I think that's a beautiful kind of thought process, and again gets us out of that fix it mentality that I
Hmm.
think has been really detrimental, probably in the last 15 years, that we've all thought, oh, there's a pill or there's a magic sauce or there's this or that that instantly will bring about what
Hmm.
I want to experience, and it's not. There's not really a lot that's instantaneous, and if it is, it's short lived in a lot of cases. So let's touch quickly on just the journey of your business in general. So, you've started in one place, you've talked about how the business has kind of morphed. How have you navigated being able to communicate kind of what for your find your happy can do for people,
Hmm.
and a shifting potential market of individuals that, 2 years ago you would have been like, probably not there yet." And now you're like, oh no, no, this totally, I'm ready to support, this
Right, right.
expanded, clientele.
Yeah. Yeah. It just honestly, it just the more I learn about me and the more I learn about the connections between food and our emotional body, our subconscious body, our body in general, and all of the ties and language and misunderstandings and connections that I've missed along the way. So it just happened naturally. The more I learned, it followed my journey. The more I learned about me, the more I brought it into how I talked about what I do, into the sessions with my clients, and it didn't do anything specifically besides apply where I was and the learnings that I had and the discoveries to how I talk with my clients, how I explore things with them, the experiments that we do, and same bringing it, social media or marketing wise, same thing. It just automatically morphed because it grew alongside with me. The beauty of business is help those that you're just maybe a step ahead or half a step ahead, right? So because you were where they've been, and what you talk about, what you go through will um bring them to you, right? We'll show them that, hey, there is maybe a different way or a more supportive way to get where I want to be, because hey, that she's there, how can I get there myself too? So it wasn't anything special besides just No, that was actually very special. Nothing like specific, but very special that it just followed what I learned about me and the connection that I had with me and my body and the understanding of everything that's happening here to bring it more to the um I wanted to call it general public, but public I don't know if we're not general, we're public. We're all
So
special.
that brings me to probably the most recent kind of super life transition you've gone through, becoming a mom. And, I think about, hey, it's one of those moments where if this would have happened to me 6 years ago, it would have been very different, and where you were in your journey and what you've learned in this instance between, you know, preparing and then
Mhm.
actually becoming the mom. And now, is there this new component of how you relate to your clients that are moms or people that are coming to you because you're going through the experience with them at the same time. And what do you hope you will pass on to your daughter? It takes us back to kind of those early comments about the baton handing.
Mhm.
But just overall, how has this impacted you?
So I will say, starting a business and having a kid have a lot of similarities. When you become a business owner, it rips you apart. And I don't say that like I'm not exaggerating. It rips you apart. It strips you to a single bone. And it shows you everything that you were not ready for and everything that you've ever questioned. And it destroys you in like for it's so amazing and empowering. It also destroys you. Same with becoming a mom. It literally the same. It shows you every single hole that you still have yet to patch. Every single thing that you were thought you were solid on. Both businesshood and motherhood is like, no, you're not, right? So magnifies it it magnifies the opposites that I was talking about. In order to feel so happy and so empowered and so confident, you gotta go to the bottom of it. You're going to feel so insecure. You're going to go to the depths of sadness, depths of anger, depths of frustration, because the magnitude of feeling exists. Again, if you want to feel the extreme of happiness, you cannot mute the other side because you will mute your happiness too. And that's what happened to me. The motherhood journey ripped me apart again when I was like, okay, we are solid in how, in my emotional space and how I navigate challenges. And I am a very like I love flexibility, and it proved me it keeps challenging. I mean, there is no flexibility. There is no no. There's a lot of flexibility that needs to happen right now. There is no givens. The pivoting, the amount of pivoting that needs to happen is incredible, and I see the no, I am grateful for that I took the journey that I took in me before this happened, because I don't know. I honestly don't know how I could have navigated that earlier. She was still a little bit of a surprise. So there was the getting ready part was like, well, shit, here we are, right? I'm not ready to be a teenage mom at 32. But the hormone, like, plus the female body, just the changes and the hormones and everything that impacts that. But it continuously shows me where my tough spots still are. And in navigating the pivoting and navigating the uncontrollables and navigating the fact that the life changes every single day, every single hour, and you just have to figure it out. Um, and yet it's the most empowering thing that I've ever done. And I know it will continue to challenge me, because what I want for her is to raise her to be strong. And yet I want her to feel all the feelings. I want her to understand her emotional body. I want her to navigate challenges in a way that without sweeping them under the rug. I want her to recognize that we will snap and then we will apologize. I want her to understand that the world will never stop incentivizing a thinner body, a smaller body, a perfect human being. That will never stop. There's too much money tied to that. We make strides in trying to help, like there is like the shift is happening. You can see it on social media, you can see it in ads, but it will never not be there. There's too much money involved in comparison. There's too much money involved in beauty standards and worthiness standards. And I want to do my damnness that she will understand that worth doesn't come from anywhere else but herself, because you can't tell me that. A lot of people question, like, well, I'm not confident. Confidence is something that we build. No, if you look at a 3-year-old with a confidence of a freaking 10,000 men, you cannot tell me that we were not born that way. We were born confident. We were born fearless. We were born curious, and we lose that. And I don't want her to lose that. I want to keep that. And I'm going to do everything in my power for her to understand that she is inherently that, and help her navigate the outside world, and then just let her define what things mean to her instead of letting other people do that, and get her ready for the fact that she will be influenced and how to navigate that too.
You bring up so many things in just that conversation that make you think about when you mention like losing it
Mm,
over time. And we think nature nurture and all those components, but it also takes a bit of us from that inherent state. And as a
mhm.
risk person, I'm always thinking inherent. What was it like before we were influenced in any way?
Yeah.
And like even flipping back to that, and it's like, oh, the kid that asked 50,000 whys and didn't care because they just wanted to know what the answer was. And so why do we care now? Like why, and tapping into a little bit of that, I want to say like just radical innocence.
Mhm.
Before anyone tried to define those words, we said, you mentioned no good and bad, but people define it for us over and over and over again, and then we internalize points of it. So tell me your thoughts, and maybe this is a shout out to some of your mentors or anything, but how can we be a part of that culture shift for the next generation, or even for our generation as we're trying to make this, change and
Mhm.
adjustment? And who else is helping to really publicly change that narrative? I agree with you. I don't think we'll ever get out of it as long as it's a monetarily, driven. But if there's a larger space like the one that you have started cultivating, who else is a part of that space, and how do we become a part of it ourselves?
So I'm going to answer the first part first. Part of us becoming, I think that magic happens because a lot of us think that we can't change the world. And to a part, yeah, the world will go places where money's holding it hostage. Um, and we get to change our little world. So through that, the biggest, one of the drivers of my business and one of the impacts of my business that, or what I do, is I tell people, it's like, I'm changing, like, I want to see it's one smile at a time. I want to see people smiling, genuinely smiling. And if I can do that to one person, that person will pass the baton, like show that to other people. And it's just that ripple effect of um, one person at a time, because one person is just that one person. They're going to influence, right? Whether it's consciously or not, you're going to influence other people. You're going to piss off other people. Like, I want you to know that about happiness, is that your job is to piss people off, because you being unconditionally yourself and very authentic is going to piss people off. So please go do that. Don't take it as you're doing something wrong, but to drive the change, as much as we want to focus on like the whole world, and power to you if you have that reach, if you have the standing to do that, do that. But part of it is just focusing on your family. I've had clients who have communicated with their parents and showed them a different way. I dragged my mom into therapy, and good thing I did, right? My grandma's a lost cause, bless her heart. Um, but we try, right? So it's that, and then you pass it on to your kids or to your the kids that in your, the females or the males that in your family or in your circle. And it's just that smallest freaking reach that also matters. So just because you are a person, like one person, doesn't mean you can't. It is breaking the cycle. It is doing, and I don't want to say do better, but it's more informed, because what the previous generations did, it wasn't bad. It was just they had the information that they had that was available to them. And that's it. Like, they did not know, likely, in many instances, they just didn't know any better. They just followed what was the norm, right? So now it's just more informed, more aligned, more supportive ways to show up. And there are people, I mean, the circle, I try to not, no, I try not to be on social media, but at the same time, sometimes it's the doom scrolling. That it's not a doom scrolling, it's my George scrolling, okay? It's the intentional disassociation scrolling, okay? But I mean, there's so many, and I love the smaller circles. Like, there are a few bigger influencers that do a great job. I mean, for on the top of my head, the first thing that popped up, honestly, was like you and Bridge, which I know Bridge was on earlier too. You both do an incredible job in showing up authentically. I've recommended Bridge to so many people because of how she does her business and how authentically she shows up, and she shares all of the beautiful things. What you're doing with the podcast, it's the true people that I love. From a bigger mentor perspective, she was never my mentor, but I have followed her for a long time. I don't know if you know her, Morgs Elise. Morgan, she used to be in the fitness space. She had a disappearance. There was a lot of negative space towards her. And now she's showing up as a mom of three and an incredible business owner. And she changes the way that you look at business and how you show up authentically and how you tap into your female, like feminine, strongly. And she created a ripple for me. I am nowhere near the level for her to ever to right now be my mentor. One day that would be a dream scenario, but she's one that I can, from like the business perspective again, as well. I can highly recommend. And then, I mean, you also know Katie from the fitness perspective. She breaks the mold when it comes to fitness, confidence, body positive, like body space. Just showing people that you get to be the real version of yourself. Most of my mentors are actually not on social media, so that's hard. One of my favorite mentors has just disappeared off the face of the earth, and power to her. Um, and then another fitness example I wanted to show and shout out, because I work with Morgan. Morgan Bates. I'm a nutrition coach for her as well, for her community. And she is in the bodybuilding space. So, and she shows we're on exactly the opposite spectrums when it comes to what we do with our body and how we live, and yet we have the same values, we teach the same principles. And if you're ever curious about like the bodybuilding space and how to do it authentically and healthily and not disordered, she would be the greatest follow for that.
Love it, and thanks. We'll tag, as many of them as we can when we launch this. But before we get into just kind of the final wrap up state, one, not that you haven't given kind of a little snippet into your entire kind of approach to this the whole
Mm.
time, but if you had to say, like, what's one of the very first steps for someone to be ready to work with you, or to, follow up with what we'll, tag at the end, which is how to find your information, what is the first step that people can take to kind of make themselves available to this mindset to get the most out of the conversation?
A lot of people, when they come to me, is they sense like, I'm done running. That's even if they're not ready, because you'll never be ready. You will not be ready for this work. I will tell you that. And I think that's why a lot of people are scared to take the first step, because it's different. Because there is no blueprint for per se, because there is no I can't even give you like what's going to happen on the on the other side, because that's all dependent on you. What I can give you is the promise that I will show you the way to discuss, to come back to that 3-year-old confidence. But the first step is not silencing the intuition that says there has to be something different. I'm done running. I'm done trying to fix. And if you have that thought, then you're ready.
Just when you said that, I was like, "Oh, it's Forrest Gump. I think I'm done running
Oh,
now. I'm gonna
well,
go."
yeah, fair.
But no, and I'm thinking, and I'm like, "Oh my god, he just went with the thing that showed up," and he was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, I'm gonna do." So it's like, be Forrest Gump for a minute, like
Before I
tap
come
in.
for a minute. Yes.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, just take it as it is. Don't, yeah, just
One day
exactly.
start running,
What?
and then determine you're done running, and
Yes,
be ready.
exactly.
Be ready for what comes next, because I think of that and I'm like, you never knew what was the next thing or next adventure that he would be on.
And
So
you never know. Like you net
yeah,
nothing is guaranteed besides the fact and how you get to show up in that. That's the only thing that can give you the peace of mind that you're looking for, is how you show up in that, not what's going to happen on the outside.
love it. So Ada, how can people find you, and how can they find information on Find Your Happy to maybe work with you, or to give this information to someone that they're like, they are ready. I'm not, but they might be ready.
Right.
Where can they find you?
Easiest way to reach me is on social media. So Instagram is my poison. So we'll tag it, but just my name, Ada Undis. At Ada Undis is my Instagram. Most of my content, if you want to learn a little bit more of what I teach, is in my email actually. So I have my weekly little tidbits in my email. So I can get you in on that. And if you wanted to learn about the journey that my previous clients went, just my website, fyhappy.com. It doesn't, I haven't updated in a while. That I will say that it's more, I'm so proud of that. I don't even want to change it because I love that website so much. And it still gives the underlayer of what we're working on. And has my past client journeys. So there's a lot of answers to be, or yeah, answers in there as well.
And it's durable information and content. And I think that's the
Yeah.
beauty of having something like that. You can go through the transformations that you have and still have this kind of core kind of set where it's still a touchdown space. And then you can,
Yes. Yes.
modify through the newsletters, which are great, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
So I just want to say thank you for coming on. Thank you for this, in depth kind of initial chat. I'm sure
Oh,
we could go
yeah.
into so much more, like you
Oh my
mentioned.
goodness. It's a well.
And as people are kind of closing up, I always have our listeners digest for a minute, and I ask our guest if you're comfortable, or I'm happy to do it, but I know you will do this in this case, to take us through just a couple of really deep breaths, grounding, centering moment as you kind of hit stop on the podcast episode and go into the next phase of your day. So if you wouldn't mind, can
I
you
would
take
love
us
that.
through a kind of quick, calm closeout?
Yeah, let's do that. So wherever you are, wherever you're listening from, if you're driving, please do not do that. Just keep your eyes closed. But if you feel you are in a safe space, you're welcome to close your eyes just to feel into it a little bit deeper. And just take a big breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And again, just feeling the sensation of breath going in and then extending your exhale deep into your body. And maybe from this space, noticing if there's any turmoil or anything, any tightness or any activity somewhere in your body. And just breathing into that. Breathing into that with love, with compassion. with understanding, and at the same time, bringing a notice that to a place in your body that feels centered, calm, grounding, maybe even confident. And realizing that both can exist at the same time. And you're not all insecure, you're not all activated, you're not all tense. And there's a part of you that also feels safe. And just tap into that safety. And remember it's there. And with one last breath, allowing yourself to feel that.
I love how everyone does it a little differently when we close. So thank you. I certainly feel grounded going into the rest of my day. And I hope that people found the conversation just as eye opening and kind of invigorating and influencing as
Yeah.
such. So thank you so much, Ada. We will talk soon and appreciate everyone listening to another episode of Motivation and That.